and I use it. And you know, for those of you that shoot nature and birds and things like that, they move a lot in a fraction of a second. And so out of maybe 50 shots, 60 shots at 20 frames a second, this was the only one where they were all looking in that same direction. This is in Tuscany, in Italy, in the spring. You know, you can visit Tuscany in the fall, and you don't see any of this luscious green. But if you go in the spring, this is really how it looks. Some people have asked me, said, "Oh, you must have enhanced these colors and everything else," and I said, "No, this is as I saw it. You know, we pulled off the side of the road, and here it is, all in front of you in its glorious colors." And this is from another trip to Italy. This is this in the same area of Cinque Terre. This is Vernazza, the second town from the top in Cinque Terre. All these towns are linked by a rail line, and you can ride from one town to the next. They're about maybe 10 minutes apart. You walk down little narrow cobblestone streets, you know, to scenes like this.
That's all of the images that David sent us, Ed.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, David, for sharing those with us.
Oh, you're
Those
very
are
welcome.
awesome pictures.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do our travel singles now. Doug will put them on the screen, and Leonard will read the titles. But first, we were going to go through them all first, so you can get an idea what they look like. Then we'll go back to the beginning and show each individual one, and David will critique it and give it a score. And our scoring system is 8 to 12. 12 being no flaws in the image at all. So let's go. Let's see what happens.
Okay, that's all of them, David. There's 30.
Okay.
We'll go back to the first one now. And Leonard, you can read the title.
Okay, that is Sunset at Lake Inle, Myanmar.
All right. Very nice shot. I like the diagonal direction of the travel of the fellow with his long boat, and it has very good depth to it. You know, with this foreground, the depth of field is well done. The shutter speed is is well selected. Uh, I like how it isn't just, you know, the horizon isn't smack in the middle, but I think this is it has an emotive feeling with the sunrise, or I think I'm assuming it's a sunrise, maybe it's the sunset, but I like the fact that you don't have a doubt as to what the subject is here, but the subject is framed such that everything around it supports it well. I don't see any flaw. I don't see any big flaws around the edges. Uh, I'd give this one. I'd give this one a 12.
Greenland Journal.
So, you know, oftentimes we see, you know, travel photos and we're looking for the story. And I think this one was a good example of a story constructed. I mean, you've got the passport, you've got the field notes, you've got the glass of beer here, which, you know, is not in English. And you've got the camera pointing out to the icebergs out in the distance. And I'm sorry, my dog here. Hang on, let me take care of this. Hold on, I'm sorry.
Doug, he's muted.
Hold on.
All right, my apologies.
There you go.
All right, she appeared a few minutes before we started, and anyway, so I like this photo quite a bit. You know, here's an example of a thoughtful, constructed photo. It isn't anything exotic, but I think it tells a nice story. I don't see any serious flaws in there. It'd be nice if we had a little more exposure and on the back of the camera, but I don't think that's important to the story. Story is a travel story. I'd rate this one an 11.
Vermont Covered Bridge.
So this is, you know, the iconic covered bridge in Vermont. I think, obviously taken at the right time of the year. That, you know, that short period of fall, well captured. It's framed well. I think the trees around it, the foreground is nice. You know, we often think of, you know, not centering the shots, but the fact that the shot is centered, I doesn't hurt from that, because this is the story. The bridge, the covered bridge is the story, and I think the exposure is well done. I don't see any issues with anything around the edge. You know, I think the only thing that I might have done is I might have cropped a little bit on the top right, where the tree kind the main trunk of the tree just kind of cuts across there. I mean, that's pretty minor. You know, I would give this shot. I'm going to give it a 10.
Stripes, Costa Nova, Portugal.
So, an interesting shot. I think the use of the diagonal from the bottom left corner to the to that magical third rule of thirds point in the distance, I think works well. I think having is, you know, the two diagonal lines. In fact, if you look at the roof line, moving to that, and the base of the houses, the person walking along in that direction. In fact, you know, that walker is kind of prominent in this. He's the most in focus and actually the brightest part of this image. I think that all works well, and using the edge with the palm trees on the right kind of stops your eye from moving off to the right. The early morning, you know, fog works well, and even this little bench, this curvature, you know, that moves in and kind of moves your eye into the shot. There's nothing that takes your eye out of the shot here. I think it's a pretty successful shot of a, you know, it's kind of an ordinary image, but I think it works pretty well. I would give it an 11.
Man inhaling, Rajasthan, India.
So this shot is a very interesting shot. I mean, if so often a lot of travel shots people tend to take from with a zoom lens far away. I like the fact that this one is taken close up, you know, and in the close-up mode, and it's slightly lower than his eye line, and that kind of, you know, puts him up in a position that I think it makes it more interesting. His hands, the facial expressions, we always talk about, you know, that you need to see the eyes. It would have been nice to see the eyes, but, you know, I don't know that it would be necessary in this shot. I like the color palette. I like the kind of the emotion, you know, I think the only thing that I might have wanted is a little bit more sharpness in the shot. I don't, that might be the only ding on this. I don't see anything else. I'd give this shot an 11.
Capitol Mall, moonrise at sunset.
So in this shot, the lines work very well. I mean, the photographer brings your eye pretty much to the center of the shot, it's almost center. I think that if I'm going to bring it to the center, I kind of wish it was actually centered, but the photographer moves your eye along down the line. I mean, down the painted markers leading into the Capitol Dome there. The lights lead you to that. You know, there's the moon there. Everything is pointing for you to look at. And I think because, you know, if that was the photographer's intent, it worked well. I might have just cropped a little bit off the left side to see maybe just to the corner of that left building, it would have, because it's a balance shot, I think it would have been nice to give it a little bit more balance. Maybe could have zoomed in just a little bit to get that crop, but the shot works pretty well. I'll give this a 10.
Tower Bridge.
So an iconic shot from Sacramento. I think it's nice with the reflection in the water and you kind of, oftentimes you think that maybe you want to see the reflections with the water still, but in this case it kind of works. Even though you don't have that absolute stillness, it would have been nice to see that. I think my only thought on this one is, people are going to look at this shot and they say, wonderful shot of the bridge. And then they look at it and it's kind of tilted. The tower is tilted to the right. People are very sensitive to that. And if it could have just rotated the image slightly, it wouldn't make so much difference if the bed of the bridge, the road was level or not, but having that tower, I think, more straight up and down would have helped the image to make it more successful than it is. It's a nice image. I'm going to rate it a 9.
What was the rating?
9.
Okay. Pack leader, San Francisco.
So, this is, when you're doing, travel photography, everyone thinks that, like for nature photography, birds and things like that, you want to take lots of shots to get the bird in the right pose. I mean, here's a great example that when we take photos, whether it's for travel or whether for nature or just travel or just general street shots, the fact is that, just that right moment, of the dogs, the various expressions, one looking this way, one looking that way, with one with the mouth open, the dog walker looking in that direction. You can imagine that if this shot was just timed a little bit differently, it wouldn't have worked so well. Even to the extent that the bicyclists in the back are looking at the dog walker coming at you. I think all of that, tends to make this an interesting shot. Even from the trees on the left, with a diagonal line pointing to the center of the shot. I think that all goes to, for the kind of an ordinary shot to be kind of a fun shot. The dog's tail, the Dalmatian is not too close to the edge. Neither is the little dog on the right. I would give this shot, I'm going to give it 11.
Seine and Eiffel Tower.
So, so we see so many shots of the Paris skies, but it really is wonderful to see these, the buildup of clouds here. And I've been to Paris many times, and I never tire of seeing this shot. I think it works pretty well. In this case here, we talk about using the third rule here, and I'm almost thinking it would have been nice in this case, maybe this is just my opinion here, that to have this, maybe as a centered shot, because there's little on the say 40% that's on the right hand side from the bridge and the river. We don't have much there to balance off. If it was just negative space balancing it off, I'd say that's one thing. But I think it might have been a little more successful if we had moved the Eiffel Tower to possibly to the center. I will give this one. I'm going to give this one a. I'm going to give this one 10.
I apologize for that.
Okay, chapel in Grand Teton National Park.
So here's a kind of an iconic shot of this chapel that's been photographed well. And in this, as a black and white, I think it works very well. You know, having black and white depends on good contrast. And I think the contrast of the sky and the mountains and everything here works in this shot. And there's enough shadow detail here that the chapel is interesting. The control of light, and I like the direction of the time of day and the direction. Shadows are important here. If we didn't have the shadows in the chapel, it wouldn't have been nearly as interesting. I like the fact that we have the cross in the third rule of third area there. I don't know that what I would have done, except maybe to use possibly a little lower angle to get a little more sense of power. But I think the shot works fairly well. I'm gonna give it a 10.
Taylor, Desada, India. Desada, India.
So another one of those shots that is really a study in what is this? Who is this person? I love the texture. I love the soft lighting from the right. The fact that we don't see the right side of his face doesn't bother me. He's in the direction of his gaze. Even his hand on the sewing machine, and we see the shutter speed is slow enough so that we see the motion, so that it's we know that it's not just a static shot. I like that aspect of it. I maybe would have given a little bit more room on the left side of the shot to the edge of the sewing machine. It's a little bit close there, but it's not bad. But because the focus is on the man's face, on his head, the wrapping around his head, his hands, his eyes, all pointing, looking at what he's sewing, the intent. Even having I like having the glasses in the very bottom right. Otherwise, that area would have been void. I think this shot works pretty well. I'm going to give it a 12.
Fall in Portland.
A beautiful shot of the little pagoda, and with the trees behind there. I like the way the colors were handled in this. They aren't overdone. I like the trees kind of backlighting, this pagoda with a tall tree to its left. I think the only thing I'm thinking in this one would be, it's kind of loaded to the left side. I think I might have tried to, I don't know if it would have been possible because of the way it's so close to that tree, just to try to find a little better sense of balance. There's little on the right side, and with everything is in that pagoda, and the tree is so imposing. Um, Maybe, I think that's the only thing I might have done to make it more powerful. I like it, but I'm gonna give it a 9.
View from inside Louvre.
So this is a nice shot of the Louvre from one of the windows upstairs, looking out at the plaza. With the Paris skies and the angles and the Louvre in the pyramid in the center there, I think it works fairly well. There's a lot of space in this one, in the very front area. The 30 to 40% of the front there's a lot, and it doesn't, I think, like in some of the other ones, try to find maybe zoom in a little bit. We've got the people all around in kind of the left, going from the left edge and up the diagonal. And I think that's the only thing that I would have done. I like the fact that seeing the two sides of the old Louvre. Maybe this one he could have made this one, instead of this squarish crop, maybe made more of a landscape and cut off that maybe the bottom 20-30% of it might have made a stronger shot. I'm give this one a 9.
Pacific Coast.
I like the shutter speeds. I like the capturing of the rainbow kind of light on the top of the waves, and how the waves, move you from the bottom left up towards that middle part of that right third. I'm not sure. I think that if at the very top, that part with the road or the cliffs, the very top part looks like a road. I don't know that if it wouldn't have been stronger to crop further down from that. And the interest is just in the wave moving from the bottom left to the right, and then you have the back around. Maybe a little tightening of that composition might have helped to make it, I think, a little stronger. We have very bright light, white of the waves in the upper right-hand corner, competing with what is, to me, the interest that the photographer had was in the waves with the rainbow in the center. I would have probably focused more on that. I will give this one a 9.
Camel Caravan, Morocco.
So a pretty powerful image. They're almost silhouetted. They're almost silhouetted. Zoe, stop. Sorry. They're almost silhouetted here, and I like the light behind them. And it's nice that we have these the dunes with this brush in front. I think it all works very, very well. Such an iconic looking shot. I think that I'm not sure of the dunes in the very, very bottom part of the front. I'm trying to think would it have worked better if we didn't have that? And I'm kind of torn. I might have taken the crop there because you have the tire tracks there. You have some footprints there. Although you have some footprints in the middle, you don't have. I don't know if that was part of the story. I might have done the crop down below. I think it might make a stronger image, but it's very enjoyable. I think there's tire tracks on the left side that I would make the crop there and not include those. I'm going to give this an 11.
Hope Valley in October.
So a beautiful condition of clouds in the Sierras and the sky and the bright fall colors here. I think the only thing that I would, there's too much. I think that because the colors are so intense, and they're not, the focus is, I don't know if is so much of an issue of focus as the colors are, over almost super saturated in this. I think if I would have brought out a little bit more development in the shadows. We have very dark shadows in the tree areas and in some of the mountain areas. I would like to have seen some of that. And if you did that, I think it would have taken this shot here and just made it even more interesting. I'm going to give this one a 9. Is there a title of this one? Oh, we can't hear Leonard.
The title of this is Athena at the Parthenon in Nashville.
In Nashville. Okay. I didn't know that they had a Parthenon in Nashville. I think it's a well-constructed shot. I think Athena is standing fairly erect here, even though we're off to the side. Exposure is good. Depth of field is good. I'll give this one a 10.
Peter Iredale at sunset.
So here in this one, I'm thinking, unlike some of the other ones I thought about, I think this one might have been a little more interesting had the photographer not centered this one. I mean, there's a diagonal moving up to the top of this from the left. What if this image was shifted just slightly to the right? We have I think that would have made the composition a little bit more interesting to me. It certainly has interesting kind of the old rust in the metal and whatnot. I think it worked well. When I look at this one, I'm thinking, oh, I wish that it could have had this would have worked really well with having maybe a graduated ND or an ND filter and kind of softened up some of those waves and given more a sense of mystery to this structure. I'm going to give it a 10.
Eiffel Tower at dusk.
I love the detail. I love the light, with the lighting of the Eiffel Tower in this street. And I think that all goes to work well. The color of the bluish color of the roofs. You know, it would have been nice if we had some sort of something in the sky, but we don't. I'm wondering if this one would have been more powerful as a vertical shot, and cropping from the left and the right to give the verticality of the street and the Eiffel Tower, you know, making it a kind of a narrow vertical shot. The composition here is the horizon is smack across right in the middle of the shot, and I think that giving it a little verticality would have helped and not made it so much of a split there. I mean, the street pops out and the Eiffel Tower pops out, but it would have I'm thinking it would have worked a little, to me, formatted as a vertical shot rather than having it square like this. I'll give this one I'm going to give this one a 9.
Apple Festival, Sweden.
Well, I think my only question on this one, I think for travel, you know, there isn't anything in this shot that I mean, this could have been anywhere. The only thing that is the giveaway are the international signs for the 30 kilometers and whatnot there. Otherwise, this could have been, you know, almost anywhere. And I would have liked to have seen something that would have given us more of the sense of this being Sweden. You know, there's some signage in the back there, but they're kind of far away. And so I think just for that as a travel shot, how could the photographer have made you know this is Sweden or this is someplace that you've traveled to? So I'm going to give this one a 9.
Hirscha Fratali Lake Blend, Slovenia.
I think the lighting in this one works very well. It's almost a little bit blown out in the water on the left side of the island. I like the reflection. I like the fact that, you know, the photographer placed the island not in the middle in this one and over to the left third, you know, with the mountain balancing off the island to the right. I think that this shot would have been a little bit more powerful if the horizon, the water line, was not smack in the middle of this shot. I think you could have lost the bottom, maybe 20% of it, and it would have been, you know, more powerful with the island a little bit lower and the horizon line of the lake not right in the middle. Yeah, I like the effect of it, but it's just that compositional change. That's what I would have done. The mountain works well from the upper left-hand corner as well as the diagonal from the right-hand corner. I'll give this one a 10.
Cardiff, Wales.
I like the detail in this one. The cannons facing, just slightly to the right of, aimed at the right of you, the windows. And I think that, the, having one thing in this shot makes it, work much better is the woman in front of the building there. She's very small, but, it took it from this kind of just empty, shot of this interesting building to adding that person, makes it work very well. I love the detail in this shot, the exposure. I think everything works very well. My only thought is, like the other shot with the bridge in Sacramento, just having that little bit of lean with this metal pole on the left is a little distracting. I don't know how you would have, yeah, I guess you could have tried to move in and crop that out. It would have been, we have a little distraction from this. I guess it's some sort of a Ferris wheel type structure on the top left. If we could have, if the photographer could have worked it and moved in closer and eliminate that, and that would have made it a much cleaner shot. I think only because of that, I'll give it a 10. But I like the detail in it.
Oh. I have that as the last of the singles.
No, there's 8 more. This one is Buddhist Temple Tourist, Bangkok.
I like the all the spires and the temple and everything there. I think the person on the bottom right, I kind of wish that they were either further in the shot or they were out of the shot. They were so close to the edge, and it looks like there was another person right next to them. So it would have been hard to have the person further in the shot without having another person in the shot. And so that is a little distracting for me, because it seems to me that the subject for the photographer were these buildings and the spires and whatnot. We have a story here that, the person, like with that woman in the last shot, she's in there and she adds to it, a sense that she adds to it. And in this case, this person with the umbrella, takes away from the, I think, we have the wonderful shapes, the colors, we could have, maybe some of the backlighting. I'm going to give this one, it's a nice image, but I will give it a 10 just for that.
Twin Towers, New York City, 1985.
Boy, just to think of this, and think what's transpired so much since then. Nice shot of the New York skyline. I'd like a little bit more room at the top, where the top of this spire is, right up, next to the very top edge. It would have been a little more comfortable breathing room. If this is the shot of the Twin Towers, I don't know if we could have cropped it a little bit, and I don't know if it's important to have all of the city, but then on the other hand, it does serve as a juxtaposition with the older building on the left, and I don't remember the name of that building there, but it serves to balance off the sense of time, I guess, between those. I'd say I'm going to give this a 10.
I found the rest of them, Doug. This is Twin Towers, New York, oh, sorry, Cypress Tree, Point Reyes. Cypress trees.
I like this shot. I I I think my only thought of it, it seems to not have as much, uh, quite as much density, I guess, to it as there's so much richness in these trees. I think a little bit of post-processing development, to bring out, some of the shadow detail in the trees going down the center. There's we have a lot of highlights and down the center, which is fine to bring your eye down, but maybe just a little balancing off in Photoshop would have taken this image and made it even more powerful. I like the diagonal lines, leading to the center of it, and so I think that's what I would have liked to have seen with it. Um, I'm going to give this shot. I'm going to give it a 9.
Evening at Golden Temple, Amritsar, India. Hope I got that right.
Wonderful image. I think the having the temples all around with all the bright lights, and then having this woman just standing there, looking like she's reaching, like she's pointing. This kind of tells it suggests a story, and I like the fact of how she's lit. This is evening light, but she has, I don't know if it was because of some post-processing or whatever, she has a nice light to her face. I like the softness of the details in the background, because you think when I first looked at this, I thought, oh, it's about the buildings and all the background here, but it's not. It's about her. I think this one works very well. Like the artist Edward Hopper, who in his paintings he often showed people looking off to the side, looking out a window or whatever. You're left wondering, what is she reaching and looking at here? I like that suggestion. She's nice and sharp. The exposure was done. The focus was done well with her, rather than the buildings. If the buildings had been in focus and she wasn't, it would have not worked at all. I'm going to give this one a 12.
Faroe Island insulation.
I think I appreciate, the enormity of this area and the landscape around it. I guess I'm a little confused as what we're supposed to look at as the building or the fjord or this huge mountain in the back. And so maybe a little change of angle to moving the photographer to the right, possibly. I don't know, not being there. And I'm just, just to get, a little more definition to the story. I'm kind of left thinking, what would I have done? I love the grass on the roof, but if that was the subject, then we should have seen more of the grass on the roof. So I'm going to give this one a 9.
Home Alley, Clarksburg, California.
I like the vertical, all the palm trees. I like the patterns of the palm trees, and I like the shadows going across the horizontals on the left. I think, you know, that's the image there. The fact that the diagonal line of the road moves you to that right point, that makes the image works pretty well because of that. If we could have played a little bit with the development in the clouds, I know looking at the clouds, there's something you could do there, and just a little bit of I think, you know, maybe some little clarity might have made this pop a little bit. It's a nice image. I'm gonna give it a 10.
Girl dancing while waiting for mother, Oxford, UK.
So here's another one of those shots that, you know, I don't know if the photographer was lucky and took a single shot, or they took, you know, they use a higher shutter rate and took a number of shots. But having her foot off the ground, her arms where they were, I think made this shot successful. You know, her hands, she looks like she's about to make a twirl. A black and white treatment of this shot works well. It gives it a certain timelessness. I'd like it if she was sharper, but the fact that she's not sharp kind of gives me a feel for an old time shot. Her expression is kind of, you know, she's just in the moment here. I'm going to give this one a 12.
Grand Prismatic Spring, Yellowstone.
You know, wonderful color. I mean, it's just, this should be a postcard shot for Yellowstone. I think the depth of field is done very well. You know, having, you know, I don't know when you don't have people in this shot, but they work well. You know, very nicely focused and composed image. Let's see. You know, I think I would give this one. I'm going to give this one I'm going to give this one an 11.
That's the last one.
All right. Don't throw stuff at me now.
No, you did a great job. You're very, very professional, very thorough. Luckily, we only had 30 pictures because that did take some time, but that's we have nowhere to go anyway. It's not like we're in our building; we have to be out by a certain time.
Yeah.
Okay, what we do now? Okay, what we will
These
do
are
now,
all
David,
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
I was
sorry.
going to say, I mean, you know, those are all just, you know, they're my opinions, and you know, I'm not being there. I don't know, you know, what the constraints were with any of this, and they were all, you know, they're all good shots, and I can see how some of them could just, you know, I think could have been made even more powerful just with a little tweaking, a little post processing, or just
And that's what
changing
we
a little
need.
angle, you know.
That's what we need to hear, Dave. We need to hear what could make it look better. And if you're gonna, on my opinion, if you're gonna put pictures in a competition, you can't be thin-skinned. You got to expect some feedback. And no, that's all good. That helps us to be more creative and more take a little bit more time with our shots. So no, we appreciate that. Okay, what we're going to do now is Doug will show all the 12s, there's only 4 of them, I think. Is that right, Doug?
That's correct.
Okay, there's 4. So what you'll do, you go through them and decide which of the 4 you like the best, and that will be the image of the night. So we're going to go through them a couple times, however many times you need.
Okay. Okay. All right, I made my decision. You just need the top pick of those 4 then.
Yes, just need the top one.
All right. I think I'm gonna go with the woman at the river with the temples behind her.
That one there.
Yeah, I think that one worked very well. It just, it had, it was obviously a travel shot. I mean, I love the shot of the young woman dancing, but the young woman dancing could have been anywhere. As for a travel competition, she looked like she might not have been from say the U.S., but even the fact that it's even if she was from some other state, it didn't give me that sense of travel. The other ones they all gave me a sense of travel. I enjoyed the one with the man with the sewing machine a lot. It had a sense of story. So did the man with the boat with the motor behind it. But this one not only had the elements of the depth of field was soft in the back. It drove you to look at this woman, the lighting, the composition, her hand moving to the lower left-hand side. It left you could look at it for a long time, I think, and appreciate and wonder, what the story is. And for those reasons, I think this one worked the best.
Well, thank you. What we'll do now is, if it's all right with everybody, if you feel like you need to stretch your legs a little bit, as soon as we give out the names of the artists of the 12s, we will take a little break maybe and stretch our legs, and then we'll come back and do the sequences. So we need to know who the artists were of these images.
Image of the night is Don Goldman. Okay. The sunset at Lake Elne is Gary Kaywood.
Great.
And the girl dancing is Joe Finkelman. And I think I missed the other 12.
The tailor in Desada, India is Theo Goodwin.
Okay.
Great.
I think they were all great images. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Now, is that all right, Doug? We take a little break?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we'll be back in 5.
5 minutes, okay.
I think we're still waiting for Leonard.
I'm here.
There he is. Here we are. What do you think, Doug? You ready to go?
All set.
Okay. Like I say, this will be the sequences, Dave, and we'll run through them once, then we'll start them over, and you won't necessarily critique each. Well, I don't know if Dave's with us. Wait a minute. We better back up. There he is. He's muted, Doug.
Yep.
There we go.
There he is. Now we're ready to go.
All
Okay,
right.
this is David. This is the sequences, and they are composed of 4 to 7 images. The title image is to be given equal consideration with the rest of the images. If it were just a blank screen with a title on it, then you wouldn't consider it, but none of these are. So we've got 8 sequences. You'll judge them on an 8 to 12 basis, and you will not necessarily critique each individual image of the sequence, but you'll want to tell us how it all works as a whole. Does it tell a unique story or tell a story together rather than, a hodgepodge of different images? They got to be connected somehow. So what do you think?
Okay.
Got it?
Good.
Okay. All righty. Okay, we're going to go through them first.
Okay, that's the last of them.
Okay,
Okay, we will go back and start them over, and we'll run them a little slower so that you can take in each image, and then you'll give us your critique on it and a score. And once again, is between 8 to 12.
Do you want me to read the titles, or all of them have titles?
Yes.
This one, it looks
Yes,
like.
please. Yes,
Okay.
I meant to say that. I'm sorry. Yes, Leonard will read the titles.
Oh, okay. Okay, this is Guatemala.
Okay, that's the last image on this one. David, if you want to go back through any of them, just let me know.
no, uh, that was the last, this is the last image?
Yes, this is the last image.
Okay, all right. I like the series. I think it is starting off with the title page with the lake and the reeds and whatnot. Um, it didn't relate as much as to to the rest of the shots because the rest of the shots were all people. It would have been nice if it could have somehow had a title image that related a little bit more, but I enjoyed the shots because it gave me a sense of a slice of life. Uh, they they appear to be, people in everyday situations, from workers, down at the water line, washing to people in the square. I think it told the story well. And as a series, I found most of the shots well photographed. I'm going to give this series a 12.
Greenland. Greenland grandeur.
And that's the last image.
Okay, can I run through those just once again? Okay. It started out with, I mean, obviously the icebergs and whatnot are, they're pretty impressive. They're amazing as many times as we've seen shots of the icebergs. I mean, they have a loneliness and a desolation to them and a powerful, imagery to them. I enjoyed those quite a bit. I enjoyed the humor of the skull with the antlers, and this shot of the dog. I think there were a couple of images in there of the house and another one of the bog, which, you know, because your expectations are set up so much from the other ones, but it did show, a slice of it. I think I'm going to give this series I'm going to give it an 11.
Scenes from Florence.
That's the last image.
Okay. Um, I enjoyed seeing those. It's a city I've been to actually quite a few times. Um, uh, I, I mean, certainly the shots with all the bridges here, the shots of the Ponte Vecchio, and all of them were well done. I think that there was some processing differences that, kind of, I wish that they were more consistent. I don't know, if the it looked like on here, um, some of the images were intentionally a little softer, a little, with possibly in Photoshop the slider changes. I think it would have been nice to have them a little more consistent. Um, I, I I think showing the crowds and showing the images from the Uffizi and all of those they worked well. This shot here with the river works well, and I like the introduction. But I think it was just the the uniformity. Would have been nice if they were all treated, you know, with a little more sense of balance between the shots from one to the other. I'm gonna give this series. I'm gonna give it a 10.
A quick glance inside the Louvre Museum, Paris.
That's the last image.
So I think this was a nice, quick glimpse of going through the Louvre. It gave you certainly, I think the images were well shot. They were well composed. You can't argue with the art. There was only one glaring issue with this series. You've got to get the spelling of Louvre correctly. You can't start off with with a title page where it's not spelled right. So, for that reason, I'm going to give it a 10.
Oregon coast.
And that's the last image.
I like the series. I think the Oregon coast is kind of a, parts of, well, other than, all the people that go and visit it, it has a certain sense of loneliness and wind swept quality to it, which I think came out in this series. I think the only thing I wasn't sure of is the shot with the person's shadow of the person in there. But I think a number of these shots with, somebody sitting there looking out, walking on the beach, it gave it had a certain emotive quality to it. Other than that one shot, um, I'm inclined to give this a 12 though.
Evening in Lisbon.
And that's the last image.
Okay. Oh, was this the last image?
Of that sequence, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Um, I like the sequence. It was enjoyable to see. I think there were a couple of images out of the sequence though that didn't say travel. It didn't, I think the images of like even the simple one of the laundry, that was hanging outside of the home there, it gave a certain sense of this is someplace else than what we're used to here. Uh, the composition, I think on one of the ones around the fountain, there was too much, there was too much empty space in front of it. It would have been nice to have it cropped a little, so that it emphasized more of what was going on in that shot rather than the empty foreground. I think just because of that I'm going to give this. I've never been there. I would love to go. And it looked like an attractive city. But the shot of the harbor, it could have been almost any city. It would be nice to have all the images, give you a feel for, oh, this looks like a different place. I'm going to give it a 10.
Visit to Viking Village, to a Viking village.
That's the last image in the set.
Okay. Well, I found, it was, when it started, it had this certain stark quality to the village. But I could see there were certain parts or some of the shots had a certain uniqueness to it. I think rather than just take wide shots of the village, I think I found myself like there was a shot. If you go back, there was a shot of. Do you mind going backwards here?
Sure.
Not this shot. but go backwards. Or you can start from the front, the beginning. I don't care. Yeah, go backwards from here.
You want to go through from the front?
No, well, okay, let's just start from the beginning. Just move through them, you know, not this shot here, but even this shot here, you see the detail of, I'm assuming that was part of a boat or something. It had a certain, it had a very interesting quality to it. This shot as an opening shot to the village is fine. But once we go into the village, as you move through the shots, there were a few shots that looked like had some real interest. It had the photographer moved into like a lower angle, you know, even here, you know, the bowl on the table, I don't know if that's a wooden bowl, you know, the rope, just, you know, moving into this cart and the rope where we could have gotten a little, you know, more of a sense of it. This one is interesting because of the roof line here. But as you go through, like in this shot here, I like this shot, but that shot with the stones, with a young woman walking through, you know, with the carvings on there, could have been even more powerful if we gotten a little closer, made them, you know, even more present. I think that I would like to see this, you know, and get more of a feel for some of these unique artifacts for here. Like in this shot here, you know, it's interesting because of its roof line, but, you know, I'm thinking that, you know, it'd be nice to get a little, some different angles, different perspectives. I'm going to give this series, like in this shot here, there's so much interesting stuff that the photographer could have done and not necessarily shown all the shields, but some of them. I'm going to give it a 10.
Death Valley Experience.
That's the last image in the sequence.
I like the sequence because of the uniformity in the storytelling. The patterns of either the people on the dunes, the shapes. They went from the sand dunes to this one, and they all had, the road had a curve to it. You know, there was a sense of relationship between each of the photos that made for a nice sequence. I think my only ding is that I'm looking for, you know, a certain, you know, like the beehive shot. I wish that there was, I don't know, it didn't look very crisp or sharp to me, and I don't know if it was an extreme crop or something. It would have been nice if there was a little more crispness to it. The opening shot was very, you know, was well shot and crisp. I think this one just, you know, the shadow detail, the detail in the clouds, you know, the sky, the color temperature of the sky is so blue. I think that there was I think there could have been some color development done with this one that it would have improved the shots. So I think because of some of that, I'm going to give it an 11.
Okay, that's all the sequences.
Oh, that's it?
That's it.
Okay, what we're going to do now is I don't remember, was it 1 or 2 12s?
There are
12.
two 12s.
2 12s. Okay, we'll have you look at the 12s, and then between the two of them, pick which sequence works the best for you, and that'll be the sequence of the night.
That's the last one. David, you want to go through them again?
Yeah, maybe just quickly. I'm a little torn between these two sequences.
Again?
um, no, it's. I'm almost. Is there such thing as a tie,
No,
or do you want one winner out of this?
yes, please.
Okay, I'm gonna take. I'm gonna take the Guatemala one. I mean, they were very close. I found the Guatemala one telling a story of the village and the people and the everyday lives and the color and whatnot. I found that compelling. I think most of the shots worked well. I think they weren't what I call, they weren't spectacular shots, but it's life. It was the title I think worked well, Life in the Villages, and it gave you a sense of a certain slice of life. So as a sequence, I think it worked pretty well. The Oregon one, I think worked equally well to give a certain emotive quality to the loneliness of the Oregon coast and the certain beauty of it. I didn't. I found that this shot was a great opening shot, Oregon coast with the wind blown beach. I think that this quality of this shot, wasn't quite as matched with some of the other shots. But I still, it was a little bit of a hard time deciding between these two. I enjoyed this series quite a bit, but I'm just going to give a nod to just a little bit to the Guatemala one.
Well, thank you. Okay, Leonard, could you tell us who did the Guatemala one, the artist?
Image of the night, Kathleen Brady.
Okay,
And
and the other sequence?
the Oregon coast is Paulo Oliveira.
Olivera? Okay,
Oliveira.
great. Well, Well, thank
Yeah,
you very
great.
much.
Wonderful.
And,
They were all good series. I enjoyed something about all of them.
Thank you. Okay, we thank David Wong for sharing his expertise with us tonight. We thank Leonard James, the Assistant Director of Travel, for his narration of the titles and everything, keeping us on track. And of course, without Doug Arnold in the background, putting the thing together, we'd be doomed. So I don't know about the host. We could have done better with me, but we did enjoy it, and it was a nice evening. And we had, I believe, at one point we had 18 participants, and so now we get some chats coming in. So we want to keep it running for a while to get the chats, and then we'll say goodnight.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. I very much appreciate you asking me.
Well, I'm sorry you had to travel so far, though, but
The only thing I couldn't do, I have a tray of nuts here, but I don't think that would have been worked very well with me chewing on them while I was talking. And I apologize
gosh.
for my dog.
Charlie thinks I did a good job. Boy, has he been fooled. Okay, well, thank you so much, folks, and we will. The travel people will do this again in September.
So I didn't mention that I didn't put my plug in here, did I?
Sure.
No, I didn't.
You got an ad?
So I have two workshops. I have Ireland again in late April and early May, and I have that workshop I have a couple of spaces to open up just because I had some people, we had to push that off, and I had some people that had some health issues. So I have a couple of spaces there in Ireland. If anyone wants to go to the West Coast, we're only going to do the wild Ireland coast from Connemara all the way down to past the Dingle Peninsula and down south and to that island that I showed you. And then on July 5th, Josh Miller, who's a great landscape wildlife photographer from up here, he and I are going to do a trip to Costa Rica, and we're going to do a lot of birds, and we are guaranteeing you will come back with winners, because a lot of trips you go down and you take photos and you go, did you see any monkeys? Did you see any birds? And then people go, no, they were in the canopies, but we have it set up and arranged so that all of that is set up and so that you will walk away with shots. So if anyone is interested in Costa Rica around July 5th, at this point, a lot of things are kind of up in the air because of the COVID, but that's what we're planning on. So join us in Costa Rica if you like, and Africa is on the planning board right now. So join us if you'd like.
Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
Thank you, David. We appreciate that, and we pray that you and your family stay close to home and well during this silliness, and we will get through the pandemic. We will get through it one way or the other.
Yes.
But anyway, God bless you, and thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Anybody else got something else to say, Leonard?
Yeah, can you include David's website and either in the notes here or an email to me? I don't know if we're going to send out I don't think we're going to send out anything after this.
No, I'll just have the recording posted, Leonard. But if you want to mention your website name, David, go ahead.
Oh, it's just photographybydavidwong.com.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. I have a blog site that I'm going to be doing, but that's not up and running yet. But you can find me at that website. It's just a bunch of my photos. I hate to say it, I'm kind of like the plumber who sinks leak. I don't have everything on my website. All right. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, and good night now, everyone.
All right. Good night.
Take care.
Thanks, Doug. And